My favorite thing about my high school copy of Frankenstein, oh my god, is that there is a egg. That's a that's a spider egg sac. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is me. My name's April. Hope you're doing well today. For my last video, I went through a list of all the books that I had read this year. Spoiler alert, I ended up failing my Goodreads reading challenge, but I feel like I got a decent amount of books read. I got 30 books read. I think I did a pretty good job on the amount of books that I did read. I'm not an academic. I'm not anything like that. I'm just a normal person who enjoys reading, and it's fine. Because in my last video I went through all the books that I had read in 2024, I thought I would go through a list of the books that I want to read in 2025, and I thought that the best way for me to provide you with this list of books is to tell you my 25 for 2025. It's 25 books that I want to read in 2025. That's the best way that you can put it, basically. The list itself is not an exhaustive list by any means. Whether or not I end up reading this actual list of 25 books is one thing, but at least I have these books here in order for me to read them. A lot of the books that I am going to be mentioning are books that I do already own and I've owned for a while, and I've just never read them or haven't gotten around to reading them. So I do want to commit in the new year to putting that time towards reading them rather than just, I don't know, reading whatever new stuff is out there. I want to be intentional, not really try not to buy any new books before these ones at least are read. There are books that I don't own yet that I plan on either purchasing or borrowing from the library when they are available. I'm going to be going through why I want to read this book. Either like a little anecdote about my purchase of the book itself, or an anecdote about why I want to read it, or maybe even both. We'll see. The first book that I want to read in 2025, let's just get it out of the way, okay? It's Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Because of the release of the Wicked movie starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, there's been a whole lot of like discourse out there about Wicked and like the origins of Wicked and everything like that. So the book Wicked, Gregory Maguire, follow me on this one, okay? There's the 2024 movie Wicked with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. That movie is based off of the Broadway production Wicked, that was originally cast with Adele Dazeem and Kristen Chenoweth. That musical was based on the book Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Gregory Maguire's book Wicked was basically fan fiction based on The Wizard of Oz from the 1930s with Judy Garland, as well as the original Wizard of Oz books by L.F. Baum. Okay, you following me? So that's where we're going. That's the history. That's the IP, intellectual property that's following this book. My connection and why I want to read Wicked, aside from the fact that I went and watched the movie and I really enjoyed it, I've never seen the actual musical on Broadway or on any other theater. I've never seen Wicked, the musical. However, when I was in year 11 at school, I was in my high school's production of The Wizard of Oz. And whether I liked it or not, I was around other theater kids. And as much as I like to say that I'm not a theater kid, I think I kind of am a theater kid at heart. I just wasn't given the resources to become a theater kid when I was a kid. So now I'm living my theater kid adulthood. Whatever. Who cares? Shut up. I just want to read Wicked because apparently it's not like the musicals. It is like the musicals, but it's not like the musicals. It's a lot darker than the musicals. It's a lot more rated MA, whereas the musicals are rated PG. And so I'm interested in seeing what the hell that's all about. The next book that I want to read is Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow. As far as I know, Ronan Farrow is a Nepo baby who is using his Nepo babiness for good. I believe the Catch and Kill is supposed to be a non-fiction, and it's supposed to be about his investigative journalist expose type thing. I guess I don't have an anecdote about every single book that I want to read, but I think that Ronan Farrow is a good Nepo baby. And I think that all Nepo babies should aspire to be more like Ronan Farrow. Another book that I want to read in 2025 is Breasts and Eggs by Meiko Kawakami. I don't know what this book is about. All I know is that Ha Yujin, one of the idols from the K-pop group The Seraphim, she was pictured reading this book, and it made men angry. If an idol is able to do something as iconic as reading a book and it makes people angry, specifically makes men angry, I'm down with it. I'm down for it. You know what I mean? I think that's really cool and really fun. Next, I plan to read Evenings and Weekends by Oisin McKenna. I watch a lot of Jack Edwards on YouTube, and this is like a book that he always recommends, or it's like one that he's always like, oh, this book is so great. I don't know. It's made me intrigued to know like what the hell it's about. Looking at like the Goodreads description, it says that it's for fans of Sally Rooney. I think I'm a fan of Sally Rooney. I've read Intermezzo, Normal People, and Conversations with Friends. I discussed Conversations with Friends and Intermezzo in my last video. And I have like some mixed feelings on those ones, but I think overall I still like Sally Rooney. So I am interested to see what Oisin McKenna would be able to do. And I'm assuming by their name, Oisin McKenna, they're also Irish. So I don't know if that blurb is just saying that it's for fans of Sally Rooney just because they're both Irish. That feels a little bit weird. Another book that I want to read that also comes from the recommendations of Jack Edwards on YouTube is The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. Again, I think this is an Irish author, just judging based on the name O'Donoghue. I could be wrong, but there is a local Irish pub to me that is called O'Donoghue's. We shorten it down to O'D's. Again, don't really know what it's about. Apparently it's Irish. And then two more books that I want to read but I don't actually own copies of is The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. I saw like a copy of it in my local bookstore and I was like, oh, I should buy it. But I had to stop myself from purchasing it because we're around Christmas time, so I can't really justify spending too much money on myself, especially on a book, especially if I have a whole bunch of other books that I do want to read. It's apparently a time travel romance, a spy thriller, a workplace comedy, and an ingenious exploration of the nature of power and the potential for love to change it all. Oh, sounds interesting. And the other book that I want to read, but I don't actually own a copy of, is The Dalagut Dream Department Store by Mi Lee. Like, look at the cover. It's gorgeous. If someone tells me this cover is like AI generated, I think it's going to break my absolute heart. But to me, it just feels so gorgeous. It feels so beautiful. It feels like the kind of cover that I hope that only human hands could have created because it just is so gorgeous. This one seems like a really trippy, not trippy, but like an interesting type of read. Based on the blurb and also based on the title, I assume it's to do with dreams and it's kind of fantasy. That's as much as I know about the book itself, and I don't want to know anything else about it. No one tell me that it's bad. I'm really, really excited to get my hands on a copy of it and then read it and then give my thoughts on it. But for now, don't ruin it for me. I want to know about it when it happens. That's it for the books that I don't own yet. Now let's get into the stack here of books that I do own and I have owned for a long time. You can see the coloration of these spines, okay? She's old. First book that I want to read and I've owned for a little while. Look at the coloration on that, okay? It is The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick. There was a day that I was sick off of work and I went through all of the books that I own and I ended up putting them into Goodreads and updating my Goodreads with like the actual edition that I own with like the cover and everything like that. And when I was going through the alternative like covers and editions of The Man in the High Castle, there was a cover with like a whole bunch of like Nazi propaganda, like World War II kind of stuff. When I first purchased this book, I had no idea about like what it would be about. I didn't read anything on the back because it clearly says stuff about World War II. Abenson, whatever, lives in fear of. Oh my god. Guys, am I Leah Michelle? Can I not read? Abenson lives in fear of his life, for he has written a book in which World War II was won by the Allies. Wow! That's so interesting. So I want to read it, and I feel like the cover looks so pretty. Two Kane's Jawbone by Torquemada. I guess it's like by Torquemada, also by Edward Powys Mathers, aka Torquemada. This was a book that was referenced in The Glass Onion? No, in one of the Knives Out movies. And the whole premise of the book is that each page that is in the book, whilst they have like page numbers on the top, it's supposed to be supposedly that the book itself and the page numbers have been like found out of order. So as you're reading it, and like the intention of it is that it's supposed to be, the book itself is supposed to be a puzzle that you're then supposed to solve. And apparently the puzzle and like the story of the book itself, the story within the book, I guess, it hasn't properly been solved. Apparently like people will like cut the pages out. There's like little cut lines for the pages itself, so that you put them all up on your wall like a detective and be like, this page should go here, this page should go here, I've solved it, aha, kind of thing. Like that's the kind of vibe that you're supposed to go for. Next is my copy of Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. That is covered in cat hair because I've had it beside my bed for ages. I've given this book like two false starts on it. Okay, I've tried to start reading it. It's supposed to be a book written from the perspective of like Shakespeare's son, supposedly like Shakespeare had a son and then he ended up dying or some shit like that. I think last time I checked, and like last time I put a page number into Goodreads, it said that I was 6% done in the book. I want to make sure that I give this one a red hot go. I feel like because it's written as a story from like Shakespeare's son, people might assume that maybe I'm just struggling with like Shakespearean language. Maybe it's written with the language of the day and I'm just too silly to sort of get a grasp of it. But no, it's written in very like modern, contemporary type language where like anyone can kind of read this. But for some reason, I just can't get into it. So I feel like I need to just sort of sit down, dedicate some time to it, and make sure that I give it a red hot go. And I feel like if I try it again for the third time, I should start it again from the beginning. Again, to give her a red hot go, to give it the best shot it could possibly have. Next, I have Kim Ji-young, born 1982, by Cho Nam-ju. I feel like I picked up this kind of book because it was reminiscent of a book that maybe one day Ha Yu-jin from Le Sserafim would also read, and if we were both reading the same book, her and I are one and the same, her and I are best friends. That's why I picked it up. It's supposed to be like a feminist book. On the back it says like Kim Ji-young is a girl who's born to a mother whose in-laws wanted a boy. She is a model employee who gets overlooked for promotions. She's a daughter whose father blames her when she's harassed late at night. She's a sister made to share a room while her brother gets his own. She's a wife who gives up her career and independence for a life of domesticity. It's supposed to be like a feminist novel, and I think it is really interesting because it's from a Korean author about a Korean woman. And I don't know, I'm excited to read this one. Next one, I have Lepnova by Ottessa Moshfegh. This book, I don't know anything about it. All I know is that it's by Ottessa Moshfegh, and I read My Year of Rest and Relaxation, and I thought, I'd kill for a year of rest and relaxation. The only way I'm going to get a year off of work or a year off of life is if I have a child, and I'm not getting any rest and relaxation during that. I saw Lepnova in the bookstore, and I thought, that's Ottessa Moshfegh. I should read more of her work. She seems interesting. I don't actually know what it's about. All it says on the sticker is that it's by the same author who did My Year of Rest and Relaxation. And I was sold, baby. The next book I have is Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer. I have owned this book for ages because for a long time I thought that Jonathan Safran Foer was going to be my number one favorite author. I have a couple more of his books that I have bought or been gifted. Gifted as in like as a present from a friend, okay? And I haven't read them. So Everything is Illuminated, I think, is about a Jewish guy who goes on a road trip, as far as I know, and I think there's a movie made out of it. But I don't know, it's apparently a winner of an award in 2002. I feel like I need to give it a red hot go. Another Jonathan Safran Foer book that I have is Here I Am. And on the back of the book, it says nothing about the book itself. All it says is what are they called? 2 reviews about his 2 other books. Everything is illuminated and extremely loud and incredibly close. I've read extremely loud and incredibly close. Haven't read everything is illuminated. So once I read everything is illuminated, I can move on to Here I Am. But I'm scared about it because it's like so big, and I, I haven't read a big book in a while. I'm usually on a book that's around like 300 pages or so, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good book, 300 pages. This is like 500 pages of book, and I'm scared, but I think I need to give it a real hot go. Rounding off the Jonathan Safran Foer books that I need to read and I want to read this year is Tree of Codes by Jonathan Safran Foer. This book, my beautiful friend Andrew gave it to me as a Christmas present one year, and I was shocked. I was flabbergasted because I had this idea in my head that I will never ever be able to read this book. I remember that there used to be this woman on YouTube who was British. She had like a lip ring in, and she had like kind of swoopy emo hair that was like teased. She would have a blue filter on all of her videos, and she would talk with a really strong accent. God, I'm sorry. And I think her name was Chelsea. I think her name was Chelsea, and I think she must have deleted her videos, but I remember that at the time when I was following her back in like maybe 2012, 2014 kind of era, she would obsess about this book. I know that this book is supposed to be basically a remix work of Jonathan Safran Foer's favorite book as a child called Street of Crocodiles. The reason why I was like so shocked that I got this as a gift is because they don't make it in production anymore. You can only sort of get it secondhand. I hope you're able to see. But these pages are actually cut out. You don't read it through to like the back page. You just read like on your current page the words on it, and you follow the story from there. And he's basically taken Street of Crocodiles, cut around words in Street of Crocodiles to create this book and story, Tree of Codes. And I had first attempted to read it, and it was like a little bit difficult because there are limitations in the story that you can create using like the words that are already existing in a work, if that makes sense. It's kind of like trying to make a full story, but all that you have are the magnetic words, the magnetic poetry words on some like 20-year-old's share house fridge. Do you know what I mean? Like when you had like those tiny little fridge magnets, which would be words, and you'd like be able to create like a poem on your fridge. That's basically what reading the story in the book is like, because he has limited words from the pages of Street of Crocodiles itself. I haven't even finished the story. I got like 10 pages into it before it was like giving me a headache to try and read through the pages. But I really, really genuinely want to retry this book because, like, one, it was a beautiful gift. Two, it's so cool to own it. And I feel like I'm squandering it by not actually reading it. Next, Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu. I know that it's been made into a Netflix series, but I have cancelled my Netflix subscription. So unfortunately, in order to get the benefit of the story, I will need to read the book itself. I have also listened to a podcast from Stephanie Sue for like Rotten Mango, going into like the behind the scenes of like the publishing drama, or like the drama that went on with like the publishing business owners for this book. So I am really, really interested, and I think it might be like some interesting sci-fi. I don't actually know the story of the book itself. I just know that apparently the physics is all wrong. Everything that everyone knows about physics is gone wrong, and now scientists are like, what the hell? Our life is a lie. And they end up like, so I think it's about science and their new approach to science now that everything is wrong. I could be wrong also in my assumption of what the book is, but I'm excited to read the book and then find out what actually happens. I have my Kurt Vonnegut books that I want to read. Again, I feel like I mentioned it in my last video, how I thought that I was a major Kurt Vonnegut fan, and according to all of these books, all of their spines are broken, but I don't remember a single thing about them. So I don't know if that's something to do with this up in here, something's just rattling around in here, it's a peanut inside of here, or if that's like a reflection of his writing. But I remember always loving his writing style. So first I have Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. I have Slapstick or Lonesome No More, and I also have Sirens of Titan. Apparently I've read these before, but I don't remember a single thing. Okay, so moving on, I felt kind of excited about it, but then I just read the back. It's Call of the Wild by Jack London. Story of a pet dog captured and forced to work in the harsh and freezing cold of Yukon is accompanied by 3 more tales of stoicism and survival in the wilderness. Now, I was a little bit confused when I was looking at the Goodreads reviews for this book, and everyone was like, 3 stars, I'm a fan of dogs, so I can't read this book. Now, I'm not so sure if I want to read this book if it's about a dog. Hope it doesn't die. But either way, it's short, so hopefully it's short and sweet if it does. Moving on to the final 5 of the last 25 that I want to read in 2025. This is going to be something that I do want to reread, but I have my high school copy of who the fuck? I have my high school copy of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. My favorite thing about my high school copy of Frankenstein, oh my god, is that there is this egg. That's a spider egg sac. Okay. My favorite thing, I guess, aside from the potential spiders, is that you can really see where my motivation just kind of drifted off when I was in year 12. Like, this was my copy for HSC. I don't know. I don't even remember if this was like year 11 or year 12 English that I had this for. I think it was for advanced English at the very least. Ooh, la di da, I was in advanced English. Didn't stick, don't worry. There was like a whole chapter of this book that I skipped through because I remember it being too boring. And so now that I have a fully developed frontal lobe, I'm hoping that I can revisit this book. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what sort of things I was highlighting. I don't remember whether or not these tabs, whether or not the different colors were meaning different themes that I was wanting to sort of tab. And I don't even remember if I had made any annotations or anything like that within the book itself. So I think it's going to be really interesting and exciting for me to revisit whatever like 16, 17-year-old me was thinking and reading at the time. Not excited about the spiders. Another book that's going to remind me of high school is Arthur Miller, The Crucible. When I was in year 11 and year 12, I decided to do drama at school, hence why I was in The Wizard of Oz, the high school musical, right? And so I don't know if everyone else's school had this, but did y'all ever have like a weird teacher who was like a little too into English? So I don't know what it is about like English teachers or anyone who's like in the humanities type of department that ends up having like a weird, borderline inappropriate relationship with their students. But I had a teacher, my drama teacher recommended this book. My drama teacher was like obsessed with Bertolt Brecht and plays by Bertolt Brecht. And this was like another play that he recommended, but he wasn't able to teach it because it wasn't a part of like, I guess, the curriculum at the time. But I remember this teacher was like so weird. I remember at the time he organized like a career day for the girls of his like drama classes, because basically based on like the geographic area that the school was based in, he was concerned that girls at the time, their only sort of aspirations, or like the only sort of aspirations that they could visualize at the time, were, I guess, like traditionally gendered type careers. So like he would ask the girls like, oh, what do you want to do? And they'd be like, oh, hairdresser, oh, a childcare worker, oh, a teacher. And he was like, there are so many other careers out there for women. You're going to limit yourself to just like caretaker type careers, or like traditionally feminine gendered kind of careers. He organized like a career day at his partner's work. So it wasn't even like an official kind of thing. It wasn't like a business itself was like, oh, we want to invite schools. He was just like, the girls at the school are fucking just gonna waste their lives away. And is that his business? Like, no. If these girls just wanted to be like hairdressers and childcare teachers and like teachers themselves, or just mums, if they just wanted to be housewives, that's their prerogative. Like, that I guess that's like, fourth wave feminism coming in. It's their prerogative to do so. And like, I see where he's coming from. It was nice that, he was able to give, or like open, he was he opened our eyes to corporate America, baby, to the drudgery of just sitting at a fucking desk. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for showing me everything I could be, to just sit at a desk and send an email every day saying, kind regards, hope this finds you well. Just a follow up, just to circle back. Thank you so much. Anyway, he has inspired me to read The Crucible, which is about the witch hunts. But at the time that it was written, it's about McCarthyism. It's about people being like, you're a communist. But instead, it's with the allegory of being like, witch! I'm excited to read this. The next book that I have is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I don't know a lot about this book. I do know that this is like book 1 in the series, but I believe it's supposed to be like about a cafe where it's like a ghost cafe, and you'd be able to see like your loved ones who've passed on, and you can like spend a little bit of time with them. I think that's what it's about. But I think I got it because the cover has a little cat on it, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. And also, I don't know, I'm interested in reading more Japanese books. Speaking of Japanese authors, I also have a copy of on my list by Asako Yuzuki, which has also been translated by Polly Barton. Fun little note about me and not helping the allegations that I can't read. When I first saw this cover and I saw that it said translated by Polly Barton, I fully took like a photo of this in order to send it to my friends. And as I was typing out a message being like, ha ha ha, ha ha, that's the 9 to 5 singer. That's the person who sings 9 to 5. I then realized that it didn't say Dolly Parton. It said Polly Barton. And then for a second, I thought it had said Polly Darton, as in like a spoonerism of Dolly Parton. And I thought, oh, Polly Darton, that's also a really good like pen name that you could use, because it's like Dolly Parton, but it's a spoonerism of Dolly Parton. But even then, I was wrong on that front as well. It's Polly with a P, P for Papa, Barton with a B, B for Bravo. Polly Bravo, no, Polly Barton is the person who translated this book. I can't really tell also on the back of what it's about. They say that with every meal she eats, something is awakening in her body. So I don't know if that means cannibalism or if that means sexuality. And I think consumption is a major part of either theme. So I'm excited to see where they're going with it. And last but not least, on my list of 25 books to read in 2025, I have Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. Another fucking Irish person. I just realized that this is another fucking Irish book. I'm not sure what I'm doing in 2025, but apparently I'm obsessed with Ireland. Before you know it, I'm going to be like Brittany Brewski, obsessed with Irish singers. I'm going to be like, ooh, Paul Mescal. Ooh. I'm also going to be like, ooh, Hosea. The country is in the grip of a government turning towards tyranny, and when her husband disappears, Eilish finds herself caught within the nightmare logic of society that is quickly unraveling. I don't know why exactly when I try to do an Irish accent, I go for an old Irish man. I feel as if I'm a countryman. I feel like I am a farmer. I feel like a lot of women, maybe, or like younger people, if they try to do an Irish accent, I feel like they would lean more so into like the Derry Girls type of accent. But I'm not from Derry. That was like the equivalent of ballet there. I'm so sorry. Anyway, Prophet Song. Don't know what it's about. It's Irish. We'll see. And that is it. That is my list of the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this list is not exhaustive. If you have any recommendations for any books that I should read instead, I'll happily drop these motherfuckers and I'll read another book. If you recommend me another book, I don't give a fuck. Just kidding. I do want to make sure that I do try to read these books, and hopefully at the end of next year I'll be able to give you a review of how I went with actually reading it. I can follow up on how I went on the journey itself. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Please like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more of me. If you are feeling extra generous with your time, please leave me a comment down below letting me know any of the books that you are planning on reading next year. I would love to know, and I want to know why you want to read them as well, or also whether or not there's been any limitations in you reading that book. Thank you for spending time with me and my best friends.